Hello, everybody, and welcome to day number 2 of the DreamHack HCT Grand Prix, live from DreamHack Summer 2018. My name's Cora Georgiou, and bringing you the action for our first round of the day, but our 6th round of Swiss overall will be Falcone and Lorinda. Hi, guys. How you doing today?
Good. Yeah, not a long day yesterday, actually, by DreamHack standards. Quite a quick day, number 1.
Yeah, I'm doing good, Cora. Really looking forward to getting to these good players already. It's the sort of easy bit out of the way. Easy's a little bit unfair to say, but it's the part where the best players have come forward. They've got their good scores, and now we get to see them battle it out for the top spot in the Swiss.
Yeah, absolutely. Yesterday, like you were saying, Lorinda, went pretty smoothly.
Yeah.
At DreamHack Austin, we had a bit of a power outage on day number 1 that set us behind a little bit, but all things considered, we finished 5 rounds of Swiss yesterday. Everything moved right along pretty well, and we're going into round number 6 here today. We're going to be playing 9 rounds total. So we've got 4 rounds of Swiss today, then we will make the cut to the top 16, and finally we'll be bringing you guys a couple of those top 16 matches at the end of the day today. Tomorrow we will have our top 8, and you will be seeing all of the matches from the top 8 onwards. So it will be 7 matches total for the final day, and all of the action will be played out here live on the stream for you to watch. But going back to yesterday a little bit, like you were saying, Falk, the best players have set themselves apart from the rest of the pack, and we have a lot of those big names finding great success sitting at the 5-0 or 4-1 mark. Lorinda, you want to just give us a couple of those names?
So the 5-0s are Casey, Akawanda, Paul 8, Seiko, Lita, and Ball Control, whose result actually wasn't in there, which is why I'm stuttering away. I knew there was one missing because he was last to finish.
He was.
Those are the only 5-0s.
Okay.
So there's a massive, I mean, I've noted down the notables on 4 and 1, and it's like half a page of people, but Show, Muzzy, Fino, Hoy, Glazer, Vegus, Thomas, Tomarino, who a lot of people know from Twitch chats and stuff. Zump is here again doing well in Jönköping. Satrius, Yanetsky, Viper, Dragon Albert, who's also done well in the last 2 Jönköping ones. Fury Hunter, Falcone, just saying.
Wow.
That's the notables. There's probably another 15 or 20 on top of that.
I think one of the big stories there as well is, again, the whole of Team Fade Takama is sitting at least on 4-1. Not just the A team of Ball Control, Glazer, and Fino, but yeah, Weku's also sitting on 4-1, and he's not officially part of their competitive roster. So very nice performance all around from them.
Yeah, I know we ran into them last night on the way actually out of the venue after the show was over for the day. And they were very excited. Fino tweeted something like he's really happy that all of their preparation is paying off and that they're all bringing very, very similar lineups. Not necessarily the same 120 cards, but the same decks usually. And all of their preparation, all of their hard work is paying off in spades. Fate to Karma, actually, I believe, in the lead for team point standings right now. That's very impressive considering teams like Tempo Storm and Genji are doing very well in DreamHack events as well. We've got, like you said, Seiko sitting at 5-0, and then Muzzy and Just Sayin, I believe, at 4-1 for Team Tempo Storm.
Well, it's a tight competition between them. Although, yeah, Fate to Karma are leading by a lot of points, it's not going to take that much for them to actually come forward and overtake. Although, with all of the F2K guys doing well in this tournament, they're going to make it difficult for Tempo Storm, who are in 2nd place, to catch up.
Yeah, this season is going to be very difficult. As you see, visual confirmation there of some of the names we just read out. It was interesting talking to Glazer when we talked about have you got the same 120 cards. As again, look at the same names I just mentioned. Because I said to him, you know, if you want the same 120, they all looked at each other saying, we're not sure. I said, well, I'm sure you haven't, Glazer. You always bring something different. He said, oh, I stopped doing that. I like winning.
Well,
so now he's bringing the same decks as everyone else. Yes, this whole team working together. Paul 8, an interesting character as well. He's one of the sort of lesser known players to people watching at home maybe, but he was on the Italy roster for HGG last time. He's on that voting ballot again this time.
As is El Machico, who's also sitting on 4-1. In fact, I think he may even be the Italian anchor this year.
Dan always digs up his Italian heritage, and it's convenient to Dan. I was just speaking to Paul 8. He had a good run at Valencia on day 1 there, and I was speaking to him earlier, sort of saying, do you think that's prepared you for this time? Because he really collapsed on day 2. He says, yeah, definitely, all that experience will come in handy today. So Paul 8, somebody I want to keep an eye on through the day, see if he can get it done this time, get into that top 16.
I don't know if we've talked about Fury Hunter yet. He's someone that's been working really hard in the background, getting these good ladder results. He was the creator of the popular Control Warrior list a couple months ago with the Control Odd Warrior list.
Yeah.
He didn't put Azalina Soul Thief in it. I believe that was a tech
Good.
added by someone else afterwards. But the list was his originally, and he did very, very well with it. Top 10 legend easily.
Right, and his story from Tour was he was 5-0 overnight in Tour, and then his roommate Janos, I believe it was, locked him out of the room, and he got no sleep, and he ended up going either 5-4 or 6-3.
That's right.
And he was saying
He went 5-4.
maybe
Lost
this
every
time
match,
I'll do
day
better
2.
if I sleep on day number 1. So
It's an advantage. Sleep is good, both for the players and for us as well.
he was saying, I said to him, Tour, like, was it coincidence or was it the sleep? He says, I was in one of the matches trying to count to 5 and couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Just put him on the desk. Put it right in.
It'd just be great. He could cast Miracle with us, Cora.
Yeah, what does Fan of Knives do?
1 damage to everything, it turns out.
Sometimes.
Who knew?
Long, awkward silence. Okay, all right. I wasn't there at that time. I just want to...
I know.
No, you weren't, Falcon.
We
You're
managed to
now, and
mess
that's
it
all
up
that
without
matters.
your help for once,
We
Dan.
missed you in Texas. It just wasn't the same. No, but it's an incredible pack of gentlemen who are in the top standings right now, but we do still have 4 rounds of Swiss to play out today, and Fury Hunter does not want a repeat of last time, and I'm sure that we are going to be seeing a lot of these familiar faces making it through to that top 16 cut, but we are actually going to be starting the day with 2 men who are right on the bubble right now, sitting at 3 and 2 each. It is PNC taking on Xixo. You can see them getting ready for their match. Great sportsmanship, 2 really great guys. They've run in the same circle for quite a while now, so I'm sure they know each other quite well at this point. Very talented Hearthstone players, but not the best day number 1 for either of them, picking up 2 losses early.
They're fighting for their lives in this one for the chance to get top 16 in DreamHack Summer. Both of them are going to want that pretty badly, I think.
They are indeed. Last time they met, I believe, was WSG finals in 2016, where the winner got to the top 4 and a guaranteed like $30,000, and the loser went home. And they had disconnect issues and all sorts of things. Like that match took them hours to battle through.
Well, hopefully that won't be an issue.
Well, yeah, Xixo came out on top 3-2, and he said, look, if it hadn't been for so much money, I'd have just said, let's replay the match.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Because it was just a mess of a match. So they're going to get a chance to actually play that match properly, even if it's 2 years later.
Okay, well, history may repeat itself. We'll see what happens here, but we do have picks and bans ready for PNC and Xixo. Let's see what they've brought to the table here. Not the best day number 1 for either of them, but I believe I heard somewhere up the grapevine that all 7 and 2s will make it. Don't quote me on that. That is not for sure, but the majority of them at least will make it. So even with poor tiebreakers, there's a possibility if these 2 guys win out today that they could, well, one of them, I guess at this point, could make it all the way to that top 16, even dropping 2 sets on day number 1. So it's Druid, Warlock, Shaman, Rogue band away for PNC, and Xixo has Druid, Warlock, Rogue, Paladin band away. So similar class choices, just a couple of differences in there, the Shaman and the Paladin.
The Warlock is also a big difference, actually, as PNC actually electing to bring Q-Block, unlike almost every player that's been bringing even Warlock. And I double-checked the tweet that we were all sent and all retweeted yesterday. Yes, even Warlock is by far the most popular archetype in this tournament. PNC, a very rare case here with his Q-Block.
You know, I don't blame him. Q-Block is still an incredibly powerful deck, even though even Warlock is the more obvious choice for Warlock. It's more aggressive in the early game, but Cube Warlock much more defensive in the late game, much better payoff with Gul'dan on turn 10.
Yeah, I feel that Q-Block personally feel that it's just a better deck for Last Hero if you can build your lineup around it. Even Warlock is just an all-around good deck. But in terms of polarization, which you sometimes want in your lineup in LHS, it just does the same. Obviously, it has good and bad matchups. Every deck does, but it's not really that polarized compared to Q-Block, which can really get jobs done against certain decks.
Key point, Q-Block allows you to run Lord Godfrey.
It does, and he is.
Even
Wisely
Warlock
so.
does not allow you to run Lord Godfrey.
That's true.
I'm sold on Q-Block just based off of that. Lord Godfrey is a very powerful card.
Yeah, the one thing with Godfrey, I agree. It is an incredibly good card, and I'm sold on it for that reason. The one thing with it is the aggro decks are so quick.
Yeah.
The few that there are,
Yeah.
that Godfrey just doesn't get there in time. It's like waiting for the cavalry in the Lich King quest at the start, and it just doesn't happen.
Interestingly, though, PNC has banned Xixo's most aggressive deck, which was the Odd Paladin. So clearly his lineup is not built in order to beat that, as he's left up Xixo's other decks, which are more control-y. Well, it's the Miracle Rogue and the Taunt Druid, which is quite standard in itself.
I mean, Q-Block versus Miracle Rogue and Q-Block versus Taunt Druid, Doomguards can just do everything in those matchups. Mountain Giants as well operate very powerfully. But then you kind of wonder, you know, would even Warlock get the job done as well? But we're going to have to see these two guys fighting for their tournament lives right now. Falk, who do you think is going to take it, PNC or Xixo in match number 1 of day number 2?
It's hard, but I've always been a big Xixo fan, and I'm always awaiting the return of old Xixo, so I'm going to go with him.
Yeah, I mean, I was the Xixo fan.
I know you were.
Right. Yeah. So in the day, I'm also a massive PNC fan as well, and their careers haven't really, apart from that one match I alluded to, overlapped that much. Like Xixo sort of started to go for less stuff at the time that PNC was rising. But I think Xixo has been buzzing around this arena like the old Xixo. He's got a spring in his step and a meme in his pocket. I think Xixo is going to get this done.
He's got a meme in his pocket and a dream in his heart, but PNC standing in the way of Xixo's potential top 16 run in this tournament. Which of these guys will reign supreme and still have a chance to make the cut to the top 16? Let's find out. It's PNC versus Xixo.
PNC versus Xixo, and we both believe Xixo has it in himself to take this. Is that any reflection on the Cube Warlock choice from PNC, Lorinda?
I always make these picks based on the players, not the matchups.
Yeah,
and when it gets to the top 16, top 8, I start making more of a matchup deal. But in terms of conveying what mood the players are in and how they're doing recently, I'd rather pick on player. PNC, though, I mean, I think Cube Lock's an interesting thing. Let's have a look what they've decided to go with in the first game as we are getting into the day's action. And he's going straight with that Cube Lock. It just looks like odd lock at this, even lock at this point with cards.
These are all cards that would be played in odd lock as well. Yeah, Cube Lock versus Taunt Druid is actually not a match that we've seen in this tournament so far, which shouldn't be a surprise. We've not seen Cube Lock, so
right.
But PNC's opening hand is vital. He gets both Giants, which obviously get kept. Double Void Lord, not ideal, but his start may be aggressive enough where it just doesn't matter and he can get to turn 9 without pulling too much of a sweat.
Yeah, when you get this hand, you wonder why you would ever play anything other than this deck. Of course, you don't always get this hand. You've got far less early threats. And the Druid can just get established. Obviously, if you don't get that early damage in, if you're PNC, then Xixo starts establishing Wall of Taunts after Wall of Taunts, and you need to save your Godfrey, you need to save your Defiles, which don't really get it done. So you have to back with Hellfires.
Xixo with the emote on the Wild Growth top deck there. He's such a cheerful guy at this event.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think he had a few months sort of in the emotional Hearthstone wilderness that everyone goes through because we keep on about it, playing 12 months of every single day of the, you know, some people don't take the right breaks at the right times, but I think he took some breaks at the right times. I think he's just about ready again. But PNC, it doesn't need a break. PNC has been on a tear for about 12 months now of just regular, really good quality finishes. And that's why he's now one of the best teams in the world.
Yeah. Yeah, he's just not pulling any punches at the moment whatsoever. As Xixo finally able to sort of start putting stuff on the board, but he's going to opt to play the branching paths instead. I was wondering if it would just be Ironwood Golem Wrath this turn. That was the play that jumped out to me immediately, but I guess he just wants to get to those combo pieces.
Yeah, just chilling. He can't really do much before turn 8 anyway, so like you say, the Ironwood Golems are okay. Impact's dropped that package, by the way. He dropped Naturalize and Golems and just played different stuff. And I can't remember what different stuff he played, but the deck was really interesting, yeah.
I was telling you guys earlier, Neil, I've been playing with Trogloom Eater myself ever since seeing Seiko with it yesterday, and the card just seems good. It does what Dark Reaper does, but a lot better and doesn't get pulled from Oaken Summons.
Yeah, that makes some sense. I haven't played much since yesterday, but I did see it and it did look fun. So this massive board is the big deal. Xixo has one more turn to really get through. And then he starts making his own massive taunts. But looking at PNC's hand, he's got so much in the way of these facelesses. And
he does. He needs to get Doomguard out, which is going to be very possible soon. but he can't easily combo several of them at once just yet. He can play the Lackey, that's guaranteed to get a Doom Guard.
I wonder if he just faces the Giant and just tries to just force the issue here with Giants for the next 2 or 3 turns and hope that Xixo hasn't quite got everything and just slap him about for a few turns.
Naturalize is a great draw for Xixo here, though. Just has to use it to get rid of that big Giant. It is going to mill a card or 2 from PNC there.
Yeah, doesn't want to lose the Gul'dan. That's about it, though. Losing the cube's annoying for him, for sure.
Well, the way that Cublock wins this matchup is just a very aggressive Giant and Doomguard plays early on, because the Druid does get to the point where it has a wall of taunts that is bigger than a wall of Voidwalker taunts.
Yep.
And the Cublock just can't get over that. And it's looking like Xixo may just get there, and that does explain the branching paths play earlier on. He wanted to get to that Hadronox, he wanted to get to Oakheart, he wanted to get to these cards that allow him to make these big late-game plays.
So what PNC was considering here and he's decided not to do is whether an 8-6 Giant is good enough. An 8-8-1, I think he would have just copied it again and carried on because he's plowing through this really well. But going for what you said, making sure he gets those Doom Guards set up so he has a plan B, because they're still pretty good as plan A. They're still doing damage. And now you have the Gul'dan Resurrect plan B going on as well.
Wow, that's a risky play. There's a lot that can go wrong here with the Sleepy Dragon.
The trouble is
Not that he had anything better.
Right, he needs to get something down there so that his Hadronox does anything of use. Because when you're facing down a lot of beating like this, and in Xixo's mind, he's got to get around Gul'dan as well.
To be fair, PNC does not run any silencers in his deck.
Right.
So it's a little bit safer than it looks, but a fully developed Spellstone along with the Doomguard trade would have meant 8 damage face from the Mountain Giant. Then a Hellfire could have finished him off. The Prince Taldarum that we see in the hand there would have finished Xixo off with the Doomguard. So
and he burned the Lackey last turn.
Yeah, that's true.
Which would have helped him power up the Spellstone
That's true. So that's all it would have taken is the one Spellstone. And looking at what PNC does have, he's got a Faceless. He does have Taldarum. That is 8 damage he can add to the board right now. He's getting close. He's just missing that final little bit of damage.
But of course, Xixo has drawn so many cards. PNC is well aware that if this attack fails, he needs a plan B. He needs to work out the odds of, first of all, it failing, and secondly, is there any point in playing around certain stuff? And he's just going to go in.
Okay, so it is going to be the Faceless and the Spellstone.
And this play makes Xixo have it.
Yeah.
But he was trying to find a play that wins, even if Xixo does have it, and that looks difficult.
Whoa. Well, as we can see, for the time being, Xixo... Oh, he's getting ready to concede.
Yeah,
look at that.
There's so many ways he could lose this game.
I don't think he can beat the Hellfire with the concede button. By the time the Hellfire is cast, he's already lost. So.
Yeah.
Not a
I think what it does is it tells you that you've conceded, but the other guy thinks he's won.
Right.
So you're both happy. Because I'm always happy when I concede, obviously. All right, PNC makes yet another gigantic board.
Oakheart with Hadronox and Dragon Hatcher and both Drakes and Sleepy Dragon all already in hand or played. That's not good. Sorry.
It depends which side of the table you're standing on.
The thing
looks
is,
pretty good to me.
He runs 2 copies of Dragon Hatcher, so Oakheart would still summon that, but all of the dragons are gone anyway, so it just doesn't matter. Xixo concedes. PNC very convincingly takes the first win, and that was an unfavored matchup for the Cube Warlock. Chaunt Druid is ever so slightly favored. Xixo going to struggle to come back from this, I think.
Yeah, losing that matchup is definitely a bit of a blow to him. It's favoured because of the number of times you can put stuff in the way, and there's only a limited number of cubes and Doom Guards. There's like unlimited cubes and witching hours and buybacks of Hadronoxes. So as long as you stabilise, you do tend to get it done. There are things the Warlock can do to make sure you don't make a mistake. Like if you've got Godfrey, you can sometimes just win the game by accident.
Yeah.
But you know, Xixo's a wily old man, and going forward at this point, he would not walk into those sort of things.
I was watching the game that he had streamed yesterday from the audience, and he was singing along, right? He was actually singing to whatever he was listening to along with them, or even just singing without listening to anything.
Usually Disney if it's Xixo, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Man after my own heart.
Some others. When I used to stream, I used to know the playlist pretty well. Right, back into the action. It's going to be the Miracle Rogue, trying to take the tempo away from the Q block. Not got any of those 4s and 3s that you really want. Miracle Rogue mulligans, you can be as greedy as you want. Every hand always looks good in Miracle Rogue, apart from just the occasional ridiculously bad one.
Yeah.
And so it's sometimes hard to throw away stuff like auctioneer and stuff that looks good, but you just need to look for the Henchgang Thugs and the Caldori Striders, really.
It's just such an aggressive start, even though in the old days you would sometimes keep Gadgets and Auctioneer. It's just not worth it now. And
I mean, Vile Spine just looks so good as well, but again, if you've killed your opponent, you don't need to kill their minions.
But then again, Vile Spine on a Giant, that's probably a pretty good way to go.
But you might have taken 16.
I'm looking at the potential of a huge Edwin here, by the way. Again, keeping in mind PNC does not run any silences.
Right.
So we've got the potential of Coin, Backstab, Prep, Edwin, Cold Blood.
Or you can do it all next turn after you've daggered this turn. Oh my goodness, though, your play, it does look fun.
Like, how does PNC ever deal with it? He's he's going to go with all the way, except the Cold Blood at the end. He's still using up the Prep. That's... Oh, he's going to go, okay, all the way. It's a 12-8. Good luck, PNC.
Well, Mr. Van Cleef has come to the party. And PNC is just looking at his collection of cards saying, well, what do I do? Well, what you do is you slow it down as much as possible.
Well, he's kind of okay, and Doomsayer is doing a great job of that. This trade has to happen.
Yeah, gain 12 health.
Yeah.
Nice card.
Good 2-drop.
2 mana. Surprised it's not a Druid card.
I guess PNC now just has to drop his 4-drop there just to say, okay, if you couldn't deal with the Doomsayer, maybe you're going to have to trade Edwin into this. Into the Spirit Singer Umbra?
Yeah, the problem with the Umbra now is because the Lackey costs 6. It's not quite the same terrifying threat it used to be. You're right, it's still a sort of fake taunt, but beforehand it was actually terrifying when you played on 4. Now, it's irritating.
You're right, though. There's nothing that springs to mind that comes out on turn 5. He's going to Hellfire now so that Doomguard or the Spellstone, more likely, deals with Edwin.
Mr. Jenkins, how are you this morning?
Well, Leo Jenkins, prep Cold Blood next turn is an option to do that last.
Yeah, if you want to put your opponent to -4 million, you could definitely attempt that play.
This is ridiculous. This is a Miracle Rogue hand that's just come together, and Xixo even going to... A little bit of BM there. And
I think this might be lethal, Dan. Let me just quickly add it up.
Going back to turn 2 there, Lorinda, did you like the Edwin play?
It seemed decent because, like you say, there's no silence in your opponent's deck. There's just no way to stop it.
And that is the key reason that it was a good play, right? Just no silence. In any other situation, if there's an IMB Cowl or 2 lurking around in the deck, then you can make the play, but maybe wouldn't want to go so all in as to play the prep and the Cold Blood as well.
We saw Frodan have to make that exact decision against Muzzy in Austin. And I felt he went for the right decision, which was go for it. You're playing against one of the best players in the world, and you've got a potential massive Edwin, and if they've got it, you lose. If they haven't got it, you don't lose. He went for it, he lost. But I felt that the decision was based upon good logic. And it's very hard to work out the exact matter whether you should or shouldn't go for it against silence. But
in this situation where there's literally nothing your opponent can do about it, I'm summoning a 12-8 immediately. I'm not even thinking twice about that. As we go into game number 3, PNC now with the Even Shaman. We've seen a lot of Even Shaman in this tournament. I expected and hoped, if I'm honest, I'm a little bit like Dr. Jikininki like that. I really like my Shadowwalk. I was hoping to see some more Shadowwalk, but no.
Yeah, we had that crazy Shadowwalk mirror that you not cast. I was with Darok at the time.
Oh yeah, that was a strange.
Pokerat and Boston just going at it, and you don't kill each other in one turn. It was like, if you haven't got the life drink, you might only get 24 damage back, and then they heal it all back up and hit you for 27 in return. It's like, that's not
I was
fair.
actually watching that one from the audience. I've played a lot of Shadowwalk myself recently, and I felt as though there were a few things that were done quite poorly in that game.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely was an incredibly complicated game. And Darok and I said afterwards, like, we don't know who should have won, we just know who did. It's like, there's so much going on.
But regardless, it is going to be the Even Shaman this time around. PNC keeping 1/2 drop. That does tend to be all he needs. Oh, never mind. He gets every 2 drop in his deck. Not quite. But the eel is vital against any deck that goes for an early game control of the board, like with Firefly, with Hinge Clans, with SO7 agents, just to rip them off of the board again. Is PNC going to coin that out without even thinking?
Yeah, he's got I mean, as you can see, his handful of 2 drops is interesting here. This deck tends not to want too many 2 drops early, so it can go, get 1 2 drop down, then start hitting you with the 4s. But this is actually beautiful. He doesn't really need the buffs. He's going to be able to control the board so well with this early start, and he's actually going to make use of them. More knife jugglers.
Knife juggler is really poor against this deck. Backstabs, SI7 agents.
It is.
It's not really going to stick realistically.
Well, however, when you've got all this backup, and PNC obviously knows the knife juggler thing, you can run Xixo out of backstabs and things and then drop the jugglers after. And just the wide board, if you can get it wide enough, is annoying for Rogue. They only have the fan that really deals with wide boards.
Well, given that Xixo has just used a backstab and an SI7 agent, PNC probably thinks it's going to be safe to drop Knife Juggler now, but as we can see, there is an activator for the second SI7 agent in hand ready to go.
Yeah, I think he's got an interesting decision to make between the other eel and the dog here, I feel. Your hero powering every time.
The issue with the Knife Juggler is that he's hoping that the knife hits the SI7 agent, otherwise the whole play was a disaster, so it's not really worth the risk. I think I like the Direwolf Alpha more here out of the 2 plays that you listed.
I do too.
That is the one he's going to go with.
Because he only needs +1 damage, and the Direwolf only gives +1. Next turn, he might need 2 damage for something else. The eel does 2. I know it sounds really simple when you put it like that, but that's the way that the players do break it down. And as you see now, 2 damage from the eel will be really handy if he wants to go that way into the SI.
I think the Knife Juggler does squeeze in this turn as well. The eel now hits the SI7 agent. He hopes the knife hits the 3/3 so that he doesn't have to trade in the Searing Totem.
It's good either way, actually, in some ways.
It doesn't really matter regardless, does it?
Pretty tasty.
Put this apple on your head.
And now, 2 SI7 agents and 1 backstab all gone. It should be a little bit trickier for Xixo to deal with this Knife Juggler. And Xixo really keen with his emote finger.
Yeah, he's not happy about the start here that PNC's got, but I think it's how Xixo stays relaxed so much. He's got so much spare time because he thinks so quickly that he's just happy to sit there and emote for good or for bad.
There's the Hedge Clan with the dagger already out. Next turn's looking pretty straightforward depending on what else he draws. He's not going to be just dropping a Gadgetzan Auctioneer on turn 6. Or maybe he does against even Shaman if the board's empty enough, given how few spells it runs.
One thing I should have mentioned here actually in the intro is PNC is a fairly slow player. And playing against Xixo, if you're a slow player, is really difficult to maintain your own pace. I've played against Xixo, I'm a slow player, I've seen other people fall into the same trap. He plays so quickly that if you're not careful, you start playing at his speed. Don't know why, it's just the back of your mind, oh, I need to play fast as well. And if you're naturally a slow player, you can mess up. He hasn't messed up yet, I don't think, but he can. Bit too experienced to fall for it now.
So, despite what I said a moment ago, Xixo is just going to throw this Gadgetzan Auctioneer down into its death, and PNC going to take more and more control over this board.
Yeah, he has the second one, which made the play a little bit more comfortable, obviously.
I had a chat with Sotel about this matchup yesterday, because he disagreed with something I said. I said yesterday that the even Shaman is very, very favored against Miracle Rogue.
Okay.
He said, actually, when you look at something like HS Replay, you find that at Legend, the Miracle Rogue is actually favored against the Shaman.
Interesting.
Which was a big surprise to me. Like, I would have definitely thought the matchup was the other way around. However, PNC's start was just absurd this game. So I think regardless of what he was playing against, he's going to be in a good spot.
One thing I think that we have to be very careful with as casters and players and chat and everybody alike is favoured doesn't mean you always win.
Oh, exactly. Exactly.
Orange is favoured to beat me, but I might beat him if I get lucky.
Yeah.
It's like, doesn't mean you always win. And matchups in particular, the player makes a difference. We're always talking about players. If one player knows match up particularly well with nuances, especially in the current meta, people may think the current meta is simple, but at the pro level, there's maybe 20 different decks against 20 different decks you have to learn. That's like a 400 match grid. You can't learn that.
Right. It's particularly tricky in this current meta because, as you say, there's so many decks. But the argument that Sotl presented to me was that, yeah, okay, the Shaman comes up with a very wide board.
Yep.
Rogues aren't good at clearing wide boards.
Yep.
However, often there's only 1 or 2 threats on this wide board.
Right, and so the rogue just kills you through the middle.
Right, they just file spine away the Sea Giant, or the Flame Tongue Totem gets eviscerated, or the actual threats that matter, and then PNC's hitting you with a bunch of nothing. In the meantime, you've got a load of 4/4s appearing from your deck, right? That was the argument there. I think PNC start this game again, double Eel, double Knife Juggler, and Direwolf Alpha, and Acidic Swampoos, all in the opening few cards. I think that was enough to turn the tide regardless.
I also think that the Shamans are starting to pay a nod to that sort of thing, because running them out of real cards was an issue. But now they're playing Lich King on top of what they used to. I don't know how much of that's in the stats, but Lich King is not a recent addition, but it's certainly not it's not been there since the start. It wasn't a staple.
Okay.
So they've started to add more bits and pieces to add a little bit of sustain. But yeah, I imagine that someone like Casey at the top level is just going to say, "Ha, I killed your 2 cards."
It can be hard to see sometimes, but the Miracle...
I know the feeling.
Miracle Rogue really does have a high skill ceiling.
Yeah, it is, and the good players make it look so easy. But if you're fairly new to Hearthstone and you've not played Miracle Rogue, you're wondering what the fuss is about, it's fairly cheap to build it up, play it, and you'll just feel like you've just dropped all your cards on the floor and are trying to pick them all up and put them in the right order. Because you won't have any cards after turn 3, and then you'll die on turn 4. Until you get used to how the deck works.
Winter is here.
And we've even seen that with Xixo in this game. He is trying very hard not to burn resources. That Eviscerate was so tempting to have used by now, etc. He's just trying to keep back some sort of level of resource.
Oh, that Healing Totem taking the Fire Elemental just out of Shiv range is a bit of a disaster for Xixo there. He can't remove that Sea Giant at the moment, so has to play the Shiv to draw something that will remove the Sea Giant, and Sap can do it.
For now.
For now.
Tune in next turn to see Sea Giant 2, the sequel.
The problem is, as you said...
The sequel.
Oh,
yeah.
dear. The problem is, as you said, Xixo is running out of cards, right? He now just has Leroy Jenkins in his hand. Great. That's not going to win him any games when there's a Taunt Totem being summoned for the Shaman every turn.
Here we go.
But this is what you were alluding to. It's going to probably not happen quick enough. Yeah, Xixo gives it up.
That's pretty
quick. But you
quick.
can see how the damage on board was starting to peter out, and if it had just slightly less of a good start, actually that may have only been 2 or 4 damage on that wide board there, which maybe Xixo could have avoided. But it was that good start. He had 5 2-drops. He used them well. Xixo emoting his sentiments about that. And PNC in a great spot now. 2-1 ahead. Obviously, the loser of this is eliminated from the tournament. I mean, they can carry on playing if they want, but there is top 32 now get points, even if you can't get into the money. So a lot of players will carry on until they're out of that, which is usually 6 and 3. But in terms of winning the event, you need to win this game.
There's your favorite little snail there.
The snail. Xixo's playing 2 of them. I was talking to about the snail yesterday. I've talked to a lot of people about the snail. Can't get a straight answer out of anyone. It's almost like nobody knows if it's good or not. Seriously.
I mean, the way you and Tyler spoke to me about it a few days ago, I thought it was a meme. I thought players were playing it as a joke, but hey, if Xixo's playing it in his DreamHack lineup, I guess not.
I mean, the card, when compared to Doomsayer, has pluses and minuses that make it almost exactly 50-50 whether you should play it or not. It's particularly bad against, say, Rogue. It doesn't stop anything. It's particularly good in the mirror because it kills giants. You know,
right.
It's also particularly good later in the game alongside, let's say it's turn 6. You don't really want to play your Twilight Drake and your Doomsayer together.
Yeah, yeah.
But you play a Twilight Drake and a Snail to protect it, that's lovely. Your Twilight Drake's going a long way. So instead of thinking of the Snail as a turn to play in general, think of it as an efficient spell that you play later alongside your other minions.
Makes sense.
In a deck that has very limited removal as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Again, you can play Argent Commander on 6, or you can play Snail plus a threat.
Right.
I'm not saying which is right or wrong, because if you talk to 10 pros, you'll get 10 different answers.
It's a very versatile card, I guess, because of its cheap mana cost. You can just squeeze it into a turn where it'll make a big difference.
Yeah, absolutely. You've hit the snail on the head with that one.
Thank you.
And PNC again.
He has to consider that Hex.
Consider the Hex, consider the Hellfire, consider the fact he's going to hit for 8.
Or he
Much
could just...
more complicated.
PNC could just play Flame Tongue Totem and trade everything into the Giant. That would get rid of it.
Yeah, it feels, I mean, it certainly would. Feels like you've built up this big board to kill it off if you do that. However, what are these cards actually doing? It's a big board of nothing, and if you get use out with a Flame Tongue, you are getting some use out. So it's a valid consideration. You could also just put up your Chain Gang and start buffing things on the other side of the board and just sort of hope the Giant goes away.
Problem is with the Chain Gang is that Hellfire is a very real consideration. He is going to go with the Hex. He's going to keep his board as big and wide as possible. Again, this board isn't horrible against Hellfire because the spell damage totem would survive. And Xixo doesn't really have any good players here to follow up.
Yeah, and this is why PNC didn't go for anything too cute in the end, because if he went for something cute and there was a follow-up play, he'd be in a world of trouble. As it happens, like you say, going for the sensible play is really going to pay off because he's just going to be able to build up. If he'd gone for a crazy play, it might have actually worked out better for him in the short term. Right, do you want to defend? Do you want to attack? What do you want to do? You want to make minions now, that helps. Wow. So this is the situation to be avoided here is making the board too wide and not enough damage. Exactly what you were talking about in the last matchup. You know, how do you turn these things into threats? Well, the way you turn them into threats is with the buff cards, with the Flame Tongue and the Defender. The problem is you want those buff cards to stick around, and you know that you haven't seen Hellfire yet. That makes things all really tricky.
It's particularly difficult against even Warlock or Cube Lock just because of the sheer amount of removal, the amount of taunts that they have as well. This matchup is heavily favored for the even Warlock. Again, the fact that even Shaman doesn't have the ability to run cards like Bloodlust really does decrease what it's able to do against decks like even Warlock.
And I'm glad, because if Bloodlust costs 6,
oh my goodness,
this deck would be insanely good. The only reason it's not insanely good as it is because sometimes you just can't win the game and decks get a second wind against it.
Please don't nerf Bloodlust,
right?
In inverted commas, make it cost 6.
Even if Bloodlust costs 8, it might be good in this deck.
Yeah. Anything could happen. That would probably be pretty good in this deck.
Yeah.
Just buff everything by 2/2.
So Xixo, the difference here is his hand is poor, but he has a button that stops that from happening for long.
Sorry, no, that was the Paladin one. I meant every fin is awesome. Not
I knew which one you meant.
Happen.
Unfortunately, I didn't correct you and just let you sink horribly in the quicksand. But I knew what you meant. And hopefully everybody else did.
Murloc cards.
Yep.
Well.
Yeah, PNC here.
Fire Elemental's looking real clean to me.
I think he's going to spend a lot of this turn working out what does this mean. Because Xixo did nothing. What does it mean that my opponent did nothing? He used a coin to coin out a 2/3. Has he got a handful of 2-drops? Has he got nothing? Is he desperate to occupy the board? It's an obvious turn when we can see Xixo's hand. But where PNC, what can he divine about the future? Because yeah, the instant thought is let's just fire elemental this 2/3. It's so natural.
Winter is here.
Wow, not gonna give the natural play though. No reason to hold on to that.
Well, he's just seen the Hellfire, so maybe he's thinking these things can get through. Also, you do want to develop your corpse taker as quickly as possible before it starts losing abilities. Yeah,
specifically the Wind Fury once Alakir is drawn. And hey, with Flame Tongue Totem in the hand, this has a much higher damage potential than just the Flame Elemental play.
Yeah. Yeah, he's held on to this Flame Tongue a long time for this reason.
I got this.
And all Xixo has to do is contain for a few more turns, basically. When he gets Gul'dan online, suddenly his hero power is just a million times better than PNC's deck.
Yep.
Not even the hero power, it just starts shooting things out the sky.
Yeah. PNC, I guess one of the stronger win conditions for the Shaman in this matchup is getting Hagatha nice and early.
Yep.
Start to play as many minions as possible to get as many spells to the hand as possible. That's where Bloodlusts can come into play. Lava Bursts can come into play.
I was going to say, Lava Burst is a big deal usually. It doesn't look like it because Xixo's on such a high health total, but often the Shaman can do a lot more damage than this and get those finishing cards.
And even Warlock does tend to sit on around 15 health.
Yes.
A lot of the time.
Because of the Reavers as well. Has to really sort of go down there to make those function properly.
Yeah.
Little time.
Like a backwards Draconid Crusher. That was a good card when your opponent's health was 15 or less.
That was always a contentious card as well. People always used to just mess up. So PNC going for another white board. He's got the message that he doesn't think Xixo can clear it. Still managing play on Defile. And a turn before Defile plus Infernal works, so he's all right. And Xixo's hand,
it's not coming together, is it?
It's not doing what it should, but it's still got time. This is the thing with the Shaman, not its damage output being so low. Xixo will still have time to establish something here, but he's going to have to. And at the moment, everything seems really slow.
It's just a strange position because it's a handful of good cards, but none of them have sort of come at the right time.
Yeah.
They're not cards that are synergizing together very well at all. And now PNC gets a second Flame Tongue Totem. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That with the Fire Elemental is so much damage this turn.
I think he may even be able to keep the Fire Elemental back and drop the Giant. Can he do both?
Yeah, well, you're right. There's no need to play everything. Oh, then again, Odd Warlock does not run Twisting Nether anymore, so maybe just playing everything is correct.
I like Flame Tongue into Giant and...
I just want to point out, if the second Flame Tongue did go down, and Fire Elemental did go down, and everything went face, that is 15 damage.
Okay.
Where he's actually almost there. It's 9 off lethal. Obviously, the counter-argument is Hooked Reaver becomes a consideration. PNC probably thinks Xixo has a Hooked Reaver in his hand because of how bad Xixo's plays have been.
I think he's trying to work out... The main problem is, does Xixo have the second Hellfire? And the answer is almost certainly no. But Xixo spent a long time last turn working out what to do. So maybe PNC is just a little bit scared of the Hellfire. We can see it's a totally different problem that Xixo has right now.
This is nice. This is a nice middle ground.
Yep. Yeah, develop a nice big board. Don't put them below 15. And this, again, keeps damage back in a different way. It keeps back that Flame Tongue, which plays around the second removal.
Yeah. PNC's hand is solid, but his board is really solid.
Is there a clear here? It's very close to a clear with Defiles and bits and pieces now.
Not bad.
Yeah, it'll do.
It's PNC still in the lead here, though. He can just make the value trade his 6-2 into a 6-6, and then go ahead and play more minions down. He's just drawn a second Fire Elemental, so that's another 6-5.
Yeah, there's other things he can do as well. I mean, I don't think he will, but he can sort of play the Chain Gang and push 6 face, or even 8 face using the Flame Tongue. Again, that's always worthy of consideration in these games, just defending your little guy and hitting them in the face with it. I think you're right. I think you just take the value trade, don't get me wrong. But
there's been a lot to consider every single one of these turns.
Yeah, Hero Power, Chain Gang, Flame Tongue, hit your opponent for 8, put them down to 11, and you don't think they've got a way of... Look at the clear he just did. You know he hasn't got a good clear.
Again, the only reason that he would not want to deal more damage to
the Reaver.
Is the Hooked Reaver.
If he plays the Reaver, then your 8-2 is going to kill it next turn anyway.
Yep.
But you may not be ever able to deal with this 6-6 if you're not careful, so... See what he comes up with here. He'll probably go for something safe, because when the rope's burning, doing clever things tends to be a mistake. Yeah, he doesn't want to make the play you suggested, I feel, but I think he's going to.
Well, he's just trying, even at this last second, to work out if there's a better alternative. But no, there isn't. The 6-2 goes in. There's still an 8-8 on the board. PNC still in the control here. He's still got the tempo. But The longer this game goes on, the better things gets for Xixo.
I feel he wanted to make a play along the lines of what I was talking about and just couldn't make it safe enough in the time allowed. So just go for the obvious, this play isn't bad play. But you saw him sigh. It's like, do I have to do this? I just want to hit him.
I mean, what, like lean over the desk?
Yeah, here's a snail. It would be equally useless as a Doomsayer right now, so Joy's still out.
Yeah, well, the big issue here is that Fire Elemental
it's
kills
just rubbish on this turn, but so would Doomsayer be.
Would it?
Actually, yeah, you say that. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, it would also be rubbish because even though PNC would have to commit a lot, he would get rid of it and take no damage on the Giant. So, yeah, probably the Doomsayer would be better this time, I guess. So Xixo has got near to the Gul'dan turn. But PNC is not too far off doing lots of damage in one turn. He needs to make it this turn if he can, so that Gul'dan isn't good enough. But unfortunately, a lot of demons have gone away.
There's been at least a Dread Inferno. There's been this Homunculus on the board. Potentially others, but I'm not sure. But even just this one little 2/4 taunt coming back is going to be annoying. Direwolf Alpha.
Yeah, that helps you save your Flame Elemental if you want to save it for anything, but I don't think you do.
I think it's sort of that point where PNC has to try and go all in. Because he's going to get to the point soon where Xixo does get over the edge and PNC just won't be able to get back onto the board.
Yeah, from PNC's view, though, Xixo doesn't have to have Gul'dan. If he hasn't got Gul'dan, PNC's probably winning because Xixo's getting low on tap abilities.
But I strongly like this all-in play for PNC. It's not even weak to Hellfire, is it? Because Hellfire would take out his own minions as well. Hellfire Spellstone would do some serious damage, I guess. That would leave PNC with just one minion, but at least then Xixo's not playing Gul'dan, and therefore PNC can go ahead, buff up the minion he's got alive, and smack Xixo in the face with it, pretty much, or almost killing him.
Turns out that stopping Gul'dan has been a big theme. We saw Fino do it in round 1 as well against Dansivka. Just stop people playing Gul'dan if you possibly can. Let's see how hard this punish is going to be. Are there enough homunculi?
Wow, that's 4 minions. That's more than I'd counted.
Yeah, I'd counted at least 3 to be fair, but I wasn't sure about the other homunculus. It is there.
That's real bad for PNC. He needs Hagatha right now.
Yeah, just working out the exacts, because there's a lot of damage from PNC available here.
Oh.
There's a lot of damage available now. This must be lethal one way or another, or close to it, surely. I can see 16 at first glance.
Yeah,
that's
what I can see as well.
So you play Commander, you trade that in. You put the Flame Tongue between the 2/3 and the 6/5. You trade in the 2/3. You hit for 9 with the Flame Elemental. I make it 17.
Yeah.
Is there more?
17, just because the Direwolf adds 1 damage in addition to the Flame Tongue, adding 4.
Is there a way you can do it where you end up attacking to trade and then you play the Argent Commander after something else is attacked? That's always a way of sneaking extra damage, but it trades into the homunculus so well it's probably not the way.
Yeah. Has PNC spotted it?
So this has to happen. But now you know you can't kill him, you've got to actually kill the things he's put down.
Oh, it is 18. It is 18. It is 18, yeah.
18. I can't add 17 and 1.
For some reason, I thought the Direwolf could only buff one of the minions or get in the way.
I just can't count.
But yeah, okay.
But either way, 2, 3, they're the same thing, really.
Dread Infernal seems like a very good draw here. It would buff up the Spellstone. However, that means he can't fit in the hero power. Maybe Dread Infernal's not that good, actually. I was thinking it takes out the Saronite so easily as well.
So
I think there are multiple ways that Xixo can defend himself safely this turn.
Yeah, he has to not worry about top decks. He has to just not die.
Right. So Dread Infernal kills the Saronite. The Spellstone kills the Fire Elemental. 6/6 goes into Sea Giant. Beetle goes into Direwolf Alpha. And Hooked Reaver goes into Argent Commander. That is the most obvious way I can see of clearing everything except the Flame Tongue Totem, while also putting Xixo back on 6 health.
Seems good. That seems very good to me.
That looks like that's what he's gone with, or a similar line.
Yeah.
Giving him the same result.
Got 9 health, and, well, 6 health plus the 3 armor, because the people died in the process. Lich King is pretty much perfect for what PNC needs to have a chance. It's looking for something like Army of the Dead would be so good to get him back into this.
Death Coil, not bad either. That's 5 extra burst damage. But is it going to be enough? I don't think it is. Not quite anyway, especially with Xixo's Lich King coming down this turn. Meaning that PNC is going to struggle to get any more damage to the face this game.
King is a Death Coil as well.
That's just a counter PNC's Death Coil.
Yeah, and this is where when you play buff cards and you have nothing to buff, your life falls apart. Can actually clear the Lich King with these 2 cards, right? Because he's got the spell damage totem.
Ironically, yes, he can, but sort of, so what?
Yeah, I mean, right, like you've got no cards in hand, your opponent's stabilized, they're gaining 3 health a turn, and you have a random totem, is not the best position to be in.
PNC has come astonishingly close to winning this game. Again, given this matchup is very favored for the even Warlock, but alas, Xixo takes it at the end, and it's going all the way to game number 5. It's going to be PNC's Taunt Druid versus Xixo's even Warlock.
Winner stays in the tournament, loser can choose whether to play for their 4 points, which both these players probably will, as they're both on competitive teams. The team standing's very important, especially for PNC. But Hoy's doing well at this event, so Xixo won't want to let him down in terms of some point support.
Hey, the loser can go and play in the side event.
They can do that as well. I feel like the 4 points more. Yeah. Actually, I feel they like the side event more, but I feel that their teammates like the 4 points more.
That's true, that's true.
I was speaking to a player here, a strong player, CKL, who's at his first DreamHack. Very strong ladder grinder, can put in hours and hours. He needed to get top 100 1 month on the last day to get in the Swedish vote.
Yep.
For HCT. He went from 1,200 to 105 and kept losing at 105. Anyway, the point of saying this is he played his first DreamHack yesterday. Hasn't had a particularly successful day. He's saying, I can't believe how tiring it is. I can't believe this is a guy who can grind 12 hours under massive pressure online. He says, I've learned so much that next time I come, I won't be this tired. I'm going to round 5. It sounds so easy. You play 5 Hearthstone matches a day. What can be hard? And everybody repeats that. It
is really difficult to portray to those people that just play Hearthstone at home and, you know, get to Legend easily. It is difficult to portray just how difficult these days can be for the players, for everyone here.
And proper players like CKLS always first time say, I can't believe it. Snowkiss at her first event, she was like, I can't believe it. She casts 14-hour shifts, goes and plays at Starladder, plays 4 rounds of knockout. She's like, I'm so tired.
Yeah.
So yeah, these guys have got a choice to make in terms of side events and stuff if they want to grind out the points, etc.
Trying to become one of the top Hearthstone players in the world is no easy task by any means. It is life dedication.
I like the way PNC's killing Xixo on the card back choice here, by the way.
Xixo has the Golden Celebration card back, right?
I'm trying to work it out. I don't think he does.
He must have it. I feel like Xixo is the type of player that just wouldn't use it if he did have it.
He is, but
that's why
I'm trying to work out when he would have got it, and I'm not sure. He's been top 12. I don't think he's been top 8. Okay, PNC, Xixo. PNC, not off to the best start. He does have that naturalize if he requires it, and Xixo, you can't... The only way you can play around naturalize is by missing 1 tap. You can't thoroughly play around overdrawing with naturalize as the even lock in this match. You can, but you end up destroying your deck so much if you miss too many taps that there's no point.
Yeah.
Yeah, you like you say, you can hold off on 1 tap, and people often do hold off on 1 tap. But when you've got this start, you've got a tap to get the start strong. So naturalize is fun, but Xixo already has Gul'dan, and the rest of the deck kind of doesn't matter if you overdraw it.
No, you're right. Gul'dan is the big relevant card. It's the big comeback later on. It's going to be... Again, it's one of those games where the Druid just wants to hang in there and get to turn 9. Turn 9 is looking really good for PNC.
Yeah.
Oakheart being, I'd argue, the strongest card in the deck.
And this is the main point of naturalize. The overdraw is nice, but killing off giants is good.
Yep.
And what you're saying about Oakheart's really interesting because for a long time, people didn't even really want to play it.
Yeah.
And now it's the card people are starting to moan about the most.
Well, looking at PNC's deck list, he does have 2 copies. Oh, no, sorry, no. That's wrong. Yeah, no, he does. He has 2 copies of Dragon Hatcher.
Yep.
I'm really confused there. He has 2 copies of Dragon Hatcher, 1 copy of Sleepy Dragon, 2 copies of Primordial Drake, which is pretty standard. The good thing about the double Dragon Hatcher is that if he draws one before turn 9, Oakheart on turn 9 still summons one, and he still immediately gets his big dragon with Taunt.
And this is why Oakheart was so contentious for so long, because I don't really want to play 2 Dragon Hatchers in my deck.
Yeah.
So you just get a good reason why it's good. That's because you're going from the starting point of Oakheart is good, which I think is now fact.
The problem is, right, you throw Oakheart in a deck, first thought is, right, let's get a minion with 1 attack, let's get a minion with 2, let's get a minion with 3. And the problem is, Tar Creeper is the go-to minion with 1 attack, and it's just not good in these Taunt Druid decks. I think we've all agreed upon that now. It's not good to get Tar Creepers back from Hadronox. It's not what you want. It's not the attack power you need. Which is why I'm so interested in Trog Gloomeater. Derek was saying yesterday he wasn't sold on the idea, but Hunter Ace was actually talking him around on it.
Derek's like me. Derek's an old man who hates change and things that are new.
Derek is not an old man.
At heart, he is.
Derek is the youngest of all of us.
I'm the youngest of all of us.
Just because I'm the shortest doesn't make me the youngest.
Okay, that's fair. Meanwhile, there's a game of Hearthstone broke out on our screens, and PNC has stabilized-ish, but Xixo's got quite a lot of reload going on. PNC is going to get to that Oakheart. He is going to get to that turn 9. He's gaining health.
Yeah.
And
he's still above 30 now. Even though Xixo's got this big board of minions hitting him over and over again, is showing that he's in a good spot here. Wrath plus the Spellstone. It's nice removal. It's a shame he doesn't have any armor to buff up that Spellstone a little bit, but he's got Swipe as well, so he's safe. Maybe even just Swipe plus the Spellstone deals with Dread Infernal, and that's good enough.
One of the things that makes this deck so oppressive is the amount of armor it gains. Just the fact that you can afford not to kill everything.
Yeah.
Most control decks, if they don't kill basically everything at the start, maybe the old Armor Up Warrior, Tank Up Warrior was a bit different, but usually if you don't kill everything, you die to the 2/2s and so on. Druid just goes, your 2/2 does not scare me.
Branching Paths, Ferocious Howl.
Right.
It's strong cards. I'm now looking at the potential of Swipe, Spellstone, Steal the Dread Infernal, and then a Wrathful 1 to finish the Beetle, just to draw a card as well. He curves into Primordial Drake next turn and then Oakheart the turn after that. PNC, I think regardless of what he does, he's chilling.
Yep. Just going to work out how much to chill. And this seems ideal to me.
He might not even bother going with the Wrath. He might just Hero Power down the Beetle, actually. Yeah, looks like that's what he's doing.
And again, he doesn't have to remove everything to just get rid of enough pressure to be able to chill. Tundra is so weird to me. It's something like 10 to 15 of the cards are just useless cards, like Oakheart. The fundamental card is like, it's a 9-drop that fetches a bunch of rubbish, that fetches a bunch of other rubbish.
Yep.
And then all the rubbish sort of comes together and goes, hey, Hadronox loves rubbish. He gathers it up and turns it into a big ball and throws it at people.
Yep.
That's exactly what Spiders do.
Yep. Spooters.
Oh, don't start on the spoons. No! No.
I've never called them that in my life, by the way, but I very much enjoyed your casting at Austin.
Thank you for that. Dr. J wouldn't have it any other way if I didn't call them spooters. Right. Xixo's pretty much got to go for a final push now. He knows that turn 9 things just get nasty.
And for a big old board. Big old board and smack PNC in the face. I don't mind that so much. Silencing the taunt is fine, because if he kills it, it comes back from Hadronox probably pretty soon anyway. But I imagine Xixo going to be quite upset about this. Oakheart, Dragon Hatcher, Sleepy Dragon, or Primordial Drake, and Hadronox, all about to be hitting the board at once.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing he's got is that second Spellbreaker and a board of stuff. But while this is a dream, it may still be in his heart. The meme might be leaving the pocket very
PNC,
soon.
I hadn't even noticed this in the deck list. PNC runs the Gloomeater as well. You tell me this isn't good, Lorinda.
I mean, they're on the same team, so one of us should have guessed.
You tell me this isn't good right here. Go on, tell me.
Spellbreaker's saying otherwise.
You tell me it's not.
I wouldn't want to upset Daruk. Right. Can he get 19 through? It's not far off.
So, the double... So 1 Spellstone plus Spellbreaker allows him to push, I think, the most damage. Unless, wait. No, Hellfire isn't good enough.
Yeah, Hellfire, unfortunately for him, blows up his army.
Yeah.
It's a little sluggish with the snail too late in the game. If that was already on the board, it'd be fantastic,
Okay,
though.
so he can kill the Gloom Eater with the Spellstone. He can silence the Primordial Drake, and then that leaves him with 18 damage. He's 1 off lethal.
Yeah.
That's a shame.
I mean, if Xixo is taking a long time on a turn, it means that he feels that I've got to be 100% right.
Worth noting, if that Gloom Eater wasn't there, this would have been lethal.
Yeah, he has Hellfire in hand,
Because
so...
Exactly. 1 less Taunt would have meant 1 less Spellstone had to be cast, and 1 more Hellfire could have been cast after making all of the other attacks. So Gloom Eater actually just saved PNC's life.
Well, PNC has to gain health and clear this board, otherwise he's dead to Hellfire.
Yeah.
And
He doesn't have
good
any
luck with
means
that.
of gaining life, so he has to Wrathful 1 if he even considers Hellfire a possibility. He will get Sleepy... Oh, no, he won't. He just drew it. Ooh, that's the worst draw in the deck, isn't it? Sleepy Dragon.
It's pretty bad.
Now Dragon Hatcher does nothing.
All right, so here comes the cycle. If this isn't a cycle, then Xixo is going to take this down. I mean, the number of cards in the deck, he knows that Hellfire is there. He doesn't know, but it's incredibly likely.
He doesn't know, but he knows. You know what I mean, Lorenzo? He knows.
He knows.
Time waits for no one.
And now he's going to have to make decisions really quickly, even if he draws what he's looking for, which he has done. That looks like another Wrath, maybe. Okay, Wild Growth, so he's cycling that. More animations to wait for. This is the downside of when you're a slow player.
Oh, no.
Even if he gets the outs now, he's not going to have time to make all the necessary attacks. He's got a branching path. Did he manage to get it off, or is he going to have to trust the luck? He has. He's gained at least 6. How much attacks again? He's looking like he got it in. No sweat for PNC. Looking like that was just, you know, everyday stuff, and he's managed to get through that lot.
I can't cope with this roping, Lorinda. I cannot take this. PNC looks like he's struggling to take this as well, and Xixo just got this little smirk in his face, like, I was about to win this game.
Yeah, and now... Yeah, I think Xixo there started to smirk and then realised if I play quickly, PNC's going to take 10 seconds to get his heart back in the right place rather than in his mouth or wherever it currently is. Xixo gives it up, offers the handshake. PNC somehow gets all those animations off in time.
I mean, Branching Paths was the one card that got him out of that mess, as far as I can think, anyway.
It was the Wild Growth, like he cycles expecting to get Branching Paths, another Wrath or no, and then he gets the Wild Growth. He's like, oh yeah, I can cycle this too, but I've got no time left. How he got through all that stuff is insane.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that it got him the 2 procs on the Spellstone as well. Branching Paths was, I'm pretty sure, the only out. He got there. Xixo gives it up. Xixo's going to go ahead and enjoy the event, or, you know, try and get some more points for Team Planet Odd. But
PNC looks wrecked after that turn. He hasn't even left the seat.
I mean,
someone's going to have to peel him off that seat to get him back in the arena after all that.
He was just seconds away from being eliminated from the tournament.
They shouldn't do that to me. I'm 400 years old.
He must have barely made that. I mean, it's difficult to tell on the spectator client as well. We were watching it from Xixo's side of the board. So
you can see in his face and his response. I mean,
I saw him shake his hand afterwards.
Like, yeah, oh my goodness.
If you didn't think the Hearthstone was a game where you needed the high reflexes...
Good job that wasn't show.
Speaking of show, I believe we have another series next, and it's going to be show as one of the competitors. I didn't quite catch who the other one was. Falkine.
Falkine, yeah.
Falkine.
Very strong player as well.
And we will be bringing that one to you in just a moment. So do not go anywhere. More Hearthstone coming up right after this.